Okay, so we have the Nourished Mother Reset coming up really, really soon. And I thought, who better to speak to than Alison Elsberry herself, who works directly with mothers. And she actually assists babies, children, and families to thrive in love and connection and helps them to connect with their bodies, nature, and the divine. And Purium superfoods have played a huge part in this. Do you agree?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So before we go into that, I guess could you just say a little bit about your work with mothers directly, like how you help mothers throughout their journey, and then we'll move into the superfoods that we'll be using in the Nourish Mother Reset.
Yeah. Yeah. And I first just want to say it's such an honor to gather here with you, Helen. So thank you for having me. And I think the most simplest way to talk about how I support moms is that I'm here to help them really bridge that gap of communication, connection, and consciousness between themselves and the soul and the body mind of their children. And I'm here to really help them better understand the soul of their child and what their true needs are. And a lot of times, nourishment, nutrition plays a big piece in that. And it also plays a very big piece in how the mother is feeling in her own nervous system and looking at the foundational nourishment that she's bringing into her body and how that really supports deepening that connection that she wants to feel with her own self and with her child.
Right, because the mother matters too.
100%.
Let's just remind everyone.
Yes.
We should put that like on a billboard, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so within the Nourish, thank you for sharing that, and I can definitely relate because one, we've worked with you and you've helped our family massively. And secondly, yes, I have taken and love and enjoy Purium superfoods. They've helped me profoundly as a mother, especially during postpartum. Um, Not just especially during postpartum and just as just as effectively while being a mother. I would say I'm still postpartum because I've got a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. How long is postpartum? That's another talk. But um I agree. It's been so beneficial and so helpful. Now there's a what Purium calls the ultimate lifestyle transformation, whatever you want to call it. It is a really nice collection of products which we'll be using in the Nourish Mother Reset. And I won't get into each product, but that's just cool for the sake of people listening. Just know that the ULT is what you'll be using during the Nourish Mother Reset. And so with ULT, um, I guess I want to ask you how you've seen and how you know that it helps mothers at all stages of motherhood, whether you're pregnant, whether you're in postpartum, whether you're preparing to be pregnant, you're not a mother then, but still, and even past that, like way beyond, because there's challenges within motherhood that really could do with support of these superfoods while you are tending to your children. Um, so yeah, if you could touch upon that, that'd be great.
Hmm. So, yeah, it's a lot to touch on, but I feel
Yeah.
like the bottom line is that when a mother feels really nourished, she's able to flourish.
Yeah.
And what you put your attention on, what you tend to, what you love grows. And so when you're putting these superfoods into your body, you're putting in something directly from nature. And it
Hmm.
really helps moms really feel more well-grounded, nourished, and it helps them really align their own mothering with Mother Nature. not
Mm,
just the cycles of nature, but really taking in those foundational minerals, foundational nutrition that's often missing and educated about, especially in the postpartum phase. And as you
mm,
were talking about, the postpartum phase never really ends. It's
mm,
traditionally talked about for like the first um, 3 months after birth, which is traditionally known as the fourth trimester. But honestly, someone can be postpartum whether they're 10 days after birth or 10 years
mm.
after birth. And what I
Right.
have seen is that the superfoods and the ultimate lifestyle transformation, or the ULT that you're talking about, is it takes women from feeling depleted and defeated to feeling a lot more energized and a return of life force in their bodies. And
Mm.
that's massive
Oh, yeah.
because motherhood, whether it's preconception or 20 years postpartum, it's a big mental load,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
stretches you beyond your limits of what you think is possible. It stretches your nervous system's capacity. And what I love about the ULT is that people are not having to think about what they're eating.
Mm.
This takes the guesswork and the indecision about what to eat, when to eat, off the table so that it's easier to care for your own body when you're giving so much outpour to those around you.
Mm. Yeah, and it's deeply, deeply nourishing. I remember that like the second day I think of taking being on the ULT, taking the amount of superfoods I was taking. Like I literally felt, I think Christian talked about this too, our friend Christian Strang. My whole cells were like ding 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 ding, ding, like just
Mhm.
lighting up. I felt this
Mhm.
like lift.
Yes.
Ah, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I feel different. It was just like this, it's hard to explain, I guess light, just this feeling of light, and then it just got more and more, um, yeah, just better as time went by.
Yeah, and I love that description because that's what I hear a lot of moms say, and I've often heard it described as, oh, I'm drinking my forest in a cup, right? Or, oh, I'm drinking my nature, in a cup. And the only other thing that I know that really does something like that for our inner landscape of lighting ourselves up is meditation, being out in nature, um, deep connection with source, God, goddess, creator,
Yeah.
and healthy connections with others. And for moms, sometimes those other things don't always feel very easy, right?
Yeah.
Especially
True.
in the immediate postpartum phase. And what's so beautiful about the way that this organic nutritional line is set up is that you mix it with water or whatever else you want to add in to really activate those live enzymes that gives you that pure foundation of light that is able to flow through your body and you're not having to think about it. It's not something that you're having to put on your to-do list and check
Mm,
off at the end of the
right.
day. This is something that you're like, oh, this is what I can do for myself in this moment while I'm also being present, watching my children play, or while I'm on the way to pick them up from soccer practice, or while I'm sitting in the car waiting to pick them up from school, or whatever that might be.
Or
This,
while they're screaming at me that they want to eat.
yes, right. I like to see this as, I often say that Purium is a win-win for
Yeah.
everyone, for the whole family, because as a mom, you're the epicenter of the family. Like you're setting the energetic tone, the emotional tone for what everyone's experiencing in the family. And that's not to say that that's another burden or a stress to put on your shoulders. That's the actual energetic, pure truth of how families are created. And in the same breath, that's why it's so important to prioritize that foundational piece to have in your system. I've honestly started to see it as like a non-negotiable
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's so foundational to the emotional health, the physical health, the mental health, the spiritual health, um, the multidimensional health of
Yeah.
that mother's well-being. And when a mother is nourished, like I said, everyone else around her is able to flourish. And I often always refer to um, Purium as the postpartum support that every mother needs, but didn't know that she was missing.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. You were saying about taking the time to like nourish yourself means that the rest of your family really are affected. I can really, I really resonate with that
Yeah.
because when I don't do that, and my energy is different, and how I respond to my children or react to my children is so different, and how they respond and react, it's almost like amplified. So I totally, totally resonate with that. Like I see that firsthand very often when I know I haven't prioritized that for myself. So that's a
Mhm.
very, very important point. Um,
Mhm.
what I was going to ask you next is like, imagine there's someone watching right now who is like, well, I take a bunch of greens, I take some supplements and I feel like I've got myself covered. Like
Mhm.
what would you say to them and like how do these stand out in comparison to any other um potential supplement or form of nourishment and yeah, that would support a mother? How would you
Mhm.
compare it?
I love that question because it's so essential. And this is what
Sorry.
I really, this is what I feel like really sets Purium apart from a lot of the other choices that might be out there.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing to say or a place to start is that Purium isn't a supplement, it's actual food.
Mm,
And when we can look at it as this is actual, real, pure, organic food, and I'm talking beyond organic, like organic to the point of where this food is grown, there is no other weird, wacky things in the air that are dripping on to the plants and the superfoods where they're grown, pure, healthy, mineral rich soil and clean, pure water, and how the things are cared for and grown and nurtured, that it's so pristine and it really is pure and premium. And the way that things are tested, it goes through at least 7 different layers of testing to make sure everything is very pure and very clean. And there's not a lot of other things out there on the market that can actually say that they have those standards of testing. A
mm.
lot of supplements and even other powders are the way that they're created, they're often grinded through metal machinery and at higher temperatures. So it denatures the enzymes, and a lot of powders out there, if it's protein or even greens, end up having heavy metal residue in it because of the machinery that it actually passes through.
Oh, I never even thought about that. That's a really good point.
Yes. And
If only
so
we had like a device in our houses where we can like, go beep 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 if you can test like the
I
minerals in
know.
your powders.
I know, I know. And that's where it gets really tricky and where things
Yeah,
can sneak in. That
right.
we, especially as a mom, you want to be um mindful about and educated about so that you actually know what you're putting in your body and what's going into your child's body. And that's one of the big things that stands out um, about Purium is how things are handled from the way that it's um, basically from conception to birth, really,
Right.
how it's
Yeah.
grown to how it's packaged. And this company handles all of the distribution. There's no middle anything. There's
Yeah.
nothing that's being outsourced. They handle everything from start to finish, which means that they can ensure and stand by its purity. So that's why this is food. And then knowing how everything is formulated and blended, it's not heated, it's wind dried or sun dried. So you're bringing in the elements of nature and keeping it pure. And so when you are taking this into your body, it is pure nature
Mm,
that aligns your mothering and the center of your being with Mother Nature herself, which is, in my opinion, the most powerful ingredient to raising this next generation is being connected to nature. So
mm,
that's why I really feel Purium stands out is because of the true, pure, organic nature of what these superfoods are. And that's the whole point, superfoods. These
mm.
aren't supplements. This is the nutrition that our bodies have always craved. But because of what has gone on um, here on Earth with the food system and how out of balance it's gotten, we haven't been able to have access to that until Purium was created.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I want to bring up a point because there's probably people watching who will be like, oh, well, I grow a garden and like
Yeah.
I have access to food directly on my doorstep and I don't maybe there's some people watching who have like land and grow their own food. But like you mentioned, we are surrounded by so many toxins in the air and all the power grids and like the frequencies, in you can't see them, but they're there,
Yeah.
and glyphosate in our rain, and just yeah, it's kind of unavoided. And even if you are at that stage of growing your own food, that's amazing. Like that's where we want to be. But like until the whole earth is at that point of like complete um toxic free, I really don't know how better to what better of a solution there is than using this as like a bridge.
That's right.
And also, having access, like for mothers especially, that might not be accessible. We might not have time to grow a garden. We
That's
might not
right.
have time to like nourish what we want for our future and for our kids. So like even using these superfoods as like a way to be in the state of being to achieve that land and have more energy and vitality within us and our kids to get to that stage is so important too, because if we don't have the nourishment and the energy to get to our dreams, then we'll never we really will struggle to get to that point. And especially when there's so many other to-do lists and burdens and so much on your plate when you're a mum, like even just the everyday stuff takes up so much time. Like, oh, have I got my girls enough spare underwear, spare pants in case they have an accident just to
Yeah.
go out, and it takes like an hour to leave the house because my eldest just wants to change her clothes all the time, change
Right.
her outfit.
Hmm.
So that's a really, really important point. What I will ask you, because I don't know the answer to this actually, is because the earth is very toxic, and like because of all these conditions, like how does Purium avoid like being like how does Purium avoid the toxicity um to make it so pure? Do you know what I mean by that
Hmm.
question?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
in the air and in
Yeah.
the atmosphere.
Great question. So the majority of what is grown from Purium is sourced here in the US and
Yeah.
comes from beautiful land that is way out in Utah. That
Okay.
is miles upon miles upon miles upon miles upon miles upon miles upon miles away from pollution.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, and that soil uh, is the remnants of a lake bed that was nutrient and mineral rich. So for a couple of feet down into the soil, it's just like compostable, mineral rich,
Mm,
nutrient dense soil, like
yeah.
true black gold.
Mm.
Like when you touch the
Oh, yeah.
soil, like you just
Yeah.
know when soil is like, ooh, yes, I want to give to your body.
And like it's yeah.
Yeah, and it has that certain smell.
Yeah.
It's grown in those conditions because
Yeah.
they've made every effort to ensure that that can happen. And then because of the conditions that that's grown in, they're ensuring that. And then even though that they grow the majority of their food, they still test it upon when it comes into the manufacturing plant building,
Okay.
so to
Yeah. Yeah.
speak. So it go and they have a in-house microbiologist that actually runs through and tests everything. And
Yeah.
then other foods that are grown are sourced from true family farms that are truly organic in other places on the planet that can ensure the same level of purity.
Yeah. And like knowing what I know about this company and the one of the um owners, Dave, who is very passionate about keeping it pure, like
Mm-hmm.
I can believe that based on like all the things that he's talked about in the past. Like he's very passionate about how strict the standards must be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the
Um,
results speak for themselves. If something wasn't that pure
yeah.
and clean, there wouldn't be,
So many people affected.
right? There wouldn't be so many people
Yeah.
talking about it like this, like what we're
Right.
talking about, how transformative, it really is. And you
Yeah.
can really feel the difference.
Yeah. I agree.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's just like in itself, like there really is no, I haven't seen or found another company like this company that have such strict standards and go to such measures to make sure that the customer is receiving the best of the best. It's just beyond
Mhm.
comprehension how that can even happen. But it's really reassuring
Mhm.
for the world. If everyone had Purium, like literally the world would be a better place to live on, I swear.
Yes. And to cycle back around to what you were talking about a few minutes ago, if someone is watching this and is like, oh, I grow my own food, I've got this sorted, I've got this covered, great. Keep growing it and complement what you're already doing by bringing these in because you
Yeah.
will also notice the difference. Because I can guarantee you that even though you're growing your own food, can you guarantee that the chemtrails flying over or like you
The
said, the
glyphosate.
glyphosate that is just in, you know, I think it's like 80% of the world's soil. Can you actually guarantee that it isn't in there? And for the
Yeah.
majority of people growing their own food at home, the answer is no.
Yeah.
They can't guarantee that. And so it's
Yeah. And
great to have this complementary food to add in.
right. And so, yeah. And also, important point to mention here is that there's a product within the your tea called Biomedic, and it's a product that has been proven to remove glyphosate from the body, like 70 something percent in 6 weeks, I think was the claim they made. And that's been proven and tested and externally tested. So, Um, like that, and it's like you can grow your own garden, but the food, like the apples and the stuff that you're growing, won't remove the glyphosate from your
That's right.
body. So if anything, take the biomedic because like at
Right.
least because the biomedic will remove the glyphosate. And I think that's why I like the ULT, because it's not just a nourishing experience, it's also detoxing and removing the things that are already in your body that need to be removed. And so it's making way for more light and for more nourishment.
Yeah.
So it is perfect. It's perfect for everyone, but obviously I'm specifically talking to mothers because that's my passion. I'm a mother. I know how much we need this. I know how much mothers need this. Um, I want to like we'll wrap it up very soon. I guess my last question is how you've personally seen, and I don't know if you can think of any particular story in particular, or an example, like mothers be affected positively by these superfoods, and then we'll end it. We'll end with this question.
Yeah, I love that. Um, one particular beautiful experience that really stands out to me is I had the honor and pleasure of supporting one of the families that I was partnering with. The mom was in her postpartum phase, and when I crossed paths with her, I think she was maybe 3 months out postpartum.
Hmm.
And her and her baby had quite the birth experience, and her daughter had quite the entry to the earth
Mm,
realm. So there was a lot of healing already naturally happening. But
yeah.
she actually had a lower breast milk supply, just from the stress of everything that had gone on. Um, Her daughter was having issues with latching, and mom and baby were not sleeping. Um, she was having trouble feeling like she could shed some of the extra weight that she put on during her pregnancy. She really wasn't sure what to be eating because she was so exhausted. And
Mm,
when she actually started the ULT, I remember receiving an email from her just a few days in, and she's like, as I'm typing this, I'm in tears because I feel literally like I'm getting my life back
mm,
because I
mm.
actually have the energy to connect with my baby in a not stressful way. We're
Yeah.
sleeping, and this was probably only 3 days after being on the ULT. They
Mm,
were both sleeping because mom was sleeping because she was well, much more well nourished and
yeah.
getting the foundational nutrients that she needed. Her breast milk started, her breast milk supply started increasing, and her mood lifted. And the main thing that she noticed as well was that her hormones, just within those few days, her hormones started to feel so much more balanced that she said, I feel more like myself again. And I
I completely
feel like I'm
resonate.
getting my life
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, like that resonates. Single thing you said resonates so much with me. Um, yeah, just I would say if you're a mother watching this, just try it for yourself because like there's no better feeling than like being a mother who's unnourished and depleted, and then within a few days having that turned around and feeling like you can take on life again and feeling like yourself again and like not lost anymore. And yeah, I definitely notice a difference postpartum with Willow, my second daughter, compared to my first Eden, when I had the Purium Superfoods versus didn't. Um, and I really enjoyed the postpartum laying in bed with Willow being nourished. And with Eden, she had colic. It was my nervous system was like on edge all the time. I was so unsettled. I didn't have any support apart from Ryan. He was doing everything, and it put tension on our relationship. He spent hours making food. Like I
Yeah.
didn't see him.
Yeah.
The difference was profound
Yeah.
the next time around. So if
Yeah.
you're a mother and you're listening and watching and you're like hesitant, honestly, like do it for you because we put everyone else before ourselves, including our children. And it's just in our nature or nurture to do that. But like we forget about ourselves and we matter too. We need to be nourished too. And like Alison said, if the mother's nourished, everyone else benefits. So it's not selfish, and it never was. But like, you
No.
know, sometimes we
That's the
use that,
programming. That's the
right?
programming. Yes.
Yeah, sometimes we use that as a way to like,
Mm.
no, I can't do this. Like, I have so many other, but no, like, just do it because you will be so grateful and feel the benefits, like I have, and like so many other mothers have. And I
Yeah.
am going to make it my mission to interview as many mothers as I can over the
Yeah.
coming weeks and months, just to like make a point, like we all need this.
Yeah.
So do it for you, if and do it for your children, if no one else. But like, do it for you. We say.
Yeah.
Okay. Want
Yeah.
to add anything else before we end?
You know, I love that you're ending on that point, and I just kind of want to bookend it and amplify it by saying, if
Yeah,
you remember nothing else from this conversation and interview we've had, then remember these words: what you nourish will flourish. What you nourish will flourish, which means your body, when you nourish it, will flourish. And in turn, the connection, the bond, the relationship that you have with your children and how you really desire to show up for them will flourish.
I love that. Ah, thank you so much, Alison. I'm so grateful for you being here and for your time. I don't know how long this video went on for, but like I hope that whoever's watching did watch to the end because there's so much important information that
Yeah.
is so worth listening to, and I hope that um it's enough to like really have mothers know that it's time to put ourselves first, and um, this is so worth investing in and so worth putting in our bodies.
Yes. Well said.
Mm. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm sure we'll do another one in the future. But for
Yeah,
now,
would love that.
yeah, thank you so much.
All right.